Good morning, everybody. So, this is going to be a repetition slide in every diabetic foot conference just to understand the magnitude of the problem. Um, so, this very clearly says at any point of time, there are 50% of patients with diabetic foot who require hospitalization, and out of them, there are about 25% of them who land up with some kind of surgery. 85% of these amputations somehow are preventable. Uh, there is a amputation going on, a higher level amputation going on in this world, not only in India, every 20 seconds because of diabetes. This is a huge number, a huge burden to all the doctors. So, only a handful of doctors, a handful of surgeons cannot be a part of saving the limb. I think in my lecture, this lecture actually is to promote more and more wound care practitioners to get into Save the Feet, more and more physicians to look into smaller kind of wounds, which is a great burden. It's not that everybody come to a tertiary care center with a large wound which requires a surgical expertise. There are smaller wounds which can handled by a trained wound care expert, which who could be a 12th grade pass or a staff nurse or even a diabetologist for that matter. There are a lot of diabetologists with whom I work who who are interested in diabetic feet and diabetic foot ulcers, and they are very much successful in healing the wound and preventing an amputation. So this was Saint Vincent's declaration. Way back, it said that by mid 90s they wanted to reduce the amputation rate by 50%. Are we anywhere close to it? No, not at all close to it. We have, I think, 10 times more burden as of now. So, but why? This is a very big. Now, if you, where is the missing link? COVID was, we had COVID in similar number. We were very good in controlling. India did an excellent job with it. But when you talk about European Wound Care Association, um, there we have a they have this trained nurses who handle these wounds. And in India, when you see, it's only the doctors who are with cleaning the wounds or doing surgeries or trying to save the limb. But I think this has to change. More nursing practitioners will have to get into wound care and work towards saving the limb and healing the wounds. So coming to debridement, what is debridement? If you actually get into the definition of debridement, it says removal of viable and non-viable wound components. Viable meaning there is removal of non-viable wound components using the most effective method with fewest side effects. I will get into the detail of what are the effective methods. It is executable by a healthcare professional with knowledge and capability. It doesn't mention, this is a definition by Journal of Wound Care. It's not just doctors. Even nurses and trained wound care professionals can do wound care within the boundaries of their sphere of practice. So let us not give this responsibility only to a surgeon. So what are the other methods of debridement? Of course, using a scalpel or a blade, I think everybody is worried about. Most in India, nurses cannot even think of using a blade or a scalpel for surgical debridement. There are other methods of debridement. There are other creams, gels, lotions, enzymatic debridement, chemical debridement, other forms of, like Dr. Vaidya said, hydro surgeries using Versajet. All these under with good training, even a nursing staff or a trained wound care specialist can do. However, surgical debridement, I think it's restricted to surgeons who can understand the anatomy of the feet. So factors influencing the choice of debridement, you need clinical experience, competency. You also need to understand how quickly it needs to be done, the level of inflammation, how urgent it is, the treatment objective. Is it limb salvage? Is it life salvage? Is it the treatment setting, the wound type, general condition of the patients, and associated comorbidities. There are certain prerequisites for a diabetic foot debridement: a thorough clinical examination, evaluation of the neuro and vasculopathy. Also, tissue biopsy is very important. Wound swab and culture is not advocated. Tissue for culture is how you should do. How do you take a tissue for culture? First, you will have to rinse the wound, clean the wound, take a bit of tissue, and then send it for culture. Never you swab the tissue and send it for culture. X-ray of the foot is mandatory. Ankle brachial index, color Doppler, and TCPO2, depending on the need to assess the vascularity and the availability. TCPO2 is not available in every hospital. It's transcutaneous oxygen pressure monitoring. Sometimes when you have heavily calcified vessels or non-palpable vessels, ABI is it's not possible. Color Doppler also is a technique. There are sometimes technical glitch. You might not get a correct information. So understanding more of collaterals and how the tissue is perfused with oxygen, transcutaneous oxygen pressure monitoring system is a good evaluating tool. And of course, as and when required, peripheral angioplasty and revascularization has to be considered. Addressing the comorbidities, it's a very important part of diabetic foot. Diabetic foot always comes as a package of complications, mostly cardiorenal complications, which is very important. The associated hypoalbuminemia, anemia has to be addressed along with taking care of the infection. Why? Because leg is a dependent organ. So edema, because of hypoproteinemia, anemia, hypertension, venous stasis, always interferes with wound healing. A good compression dressing has to be thought, like when there is a wound, there is an increased perfusion, you have to address the edema simultaneously. So addressing the comorbidities and nutritional status of the patient is very important. Of course, loss of toe or loss of body part is not easy for the patient or the relatives to accept. So a psychological counseling, and post surgery, there is a minimum of for any kind of surgery, minimum of 4 to months together for a healing time, during which patient has to be offloaded. In Mumbai especially, people live in chawls, one room. So, when you talk about offloading, giving them bedpan, urinal, everything in one room where 4 people or 6 people are staying, it's very difficult. So, counseling of the patient and family is very important. Post debridement, culture specific antibiotics is a very important part of treatment. Sometimes when we use culture specific antibiotics, there are certain drugs, because of the renal status, we are not able to administer fully, or avoiding the complications. So we have other ways and means to clear the infection. Like Dr. Vaidya said, we can use local antibiotic beads, which penetrates much better. However, these things can be thought about only after controlling the sepsis. Once the WBC comes down, once the creatinine comes down, and patient is in a state towards discharge. Usually, we advise this kind of treatment towards discharge. Offloading of the foot with the wound is a very important part, and wound care. Wound care is one of the most important part. I think it's very important to understand. I was just talking to Dr. Vaidya that the concept of our wounds in the past have healed with betadine and mercurochrome. Why do we need to use such expensive products for wound care? I think that myth has to go. Bugs have become, they're very intelligent, or they know how to adapt to the changing environment. So we need to be smarter than them. So one of the important part of wound care is wound cleansing. Again here, how do we clean the wound? Is normal saline the option, or is betadine the option, or do we have any other solutions for wound care? Why should we use this newer solution? They are so expensive. Yes, wound cleansing and debridement contribute to wound healing. How does it contribute? It cleanses the wound environment from all the debris, biofilm, and reduces the bio burden. Nowadays, we are dealing with another set of problems. It's not just the bacteria, one bacteria or two bacteria which you are culturing. We call it biofilm. This cleansing the biofilm is a task. There, even though it is called a film, it's not a film, it's not a slimy layer. It has got deep roots into it, and actually just by washing it's not going to clear. You need to use a surfactant which can lift the biofilm up, and only then you can wash it off. So this newer wound cleansing solutions help to clear the biofilm, which is a very important part of wound care. These are some of the available wound cleansing solution, which can be as simple as distilled boiled cooled water to ionic silver solutions, or we have this hypochlorous acid, so on so forth. But when you use water or normal saline, it is more of mechanical debridement. When you use the others, you are targeting the biofilm. So this picture is of a professor who was operated in 2016 outside, and then he has undergone all the major wound care products or technology, like stimulant bleed, wax. He has undergone culture specific antibiotics. He has used collagen granules, daily dressings. However, he was a professor, and he was teaching at Mitibai College. But then, because of the smell in the wound, can you imagine? Because of the smell in the wound, he had to take a resignation. Oh my God, it's done. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this wound was healed by a nurse. No doctor was involved. What he did was a thorough debridement, cleaning the wound, and you can see how within a span of 8 weeks the wound has healed so well. This is the power of wound care. Here no surgeon. So it need not be only a surgeon. A good nurse, a trained nurse can heal a wound. So this was the missing link. So only doctors, a handful of doctors cannot deal with this magnitude of problem. Okay. I've got these students who are coming, diabetology students who are coming from a government hospital, who learned wound care, and in their medical practice they are healing the wound. So this is again a debridement which staff nurses can do, the callus care. A carefully excised callus will not leave a ulcer behind. This again is another very interesting case. He had this wound for more than 6 years, and this healed in 3 weeks, and once a week dressing only. So what was required was a good wound care. So now when a surgeon gets into the picture, the way you debride is totally different. There is a very specific way of these wounds traveling. It travels mostly along compartments. You have 3 spaces in the foot. These are the 3 spaces. I will show you some pictures. Medial, central and lateral plantar spaces. So most of this surgery is done under ankle block when the infection is restricted to foot. Under ankle block, blocking all the 3 major nerves around the ankle, the anterior, posterior and the peroneal. So this is one of the picture with medial plantar space abscess. Can you see that wound? You feel just by excising. Not working. Just by excising the skin, that's not going to work. The infection has traveled along the medial plantar space. Can you see the extent of the wound and how well it is healed? This is not a grafted foot. This is during COVID. This was by negative pressure wound therapy, and this whole thing was again done by a staff nurse who was trained in negative pressure wound therapy.
Ma'am, please wind up your session. Please wind up.
Oh yeah, okay. So then this is the central plantar space, and look at the way it is traveled along central plantar space. This is how it travels. This is, sorry, I think I'll have to stop. Thank you. Thank you. I think some other time.